This is our presentation for radio news broadcast for Six Music. So the first thing we done was create a focus group because we wanted to know what our target audience would like to hear on our radio show. So the first question we asked in our focus group was their age. So they was like 17 to 18, which is good because that's what we want our target audience to be. Another question we asked is if they would want the radio show to be informal or formal. We had about 6 people in our focus group and 5 said informal and 1 said formal. The person that said formal said that it'll be more like easier to understand and more sophisticated, but all the rest of them said informal because it's their everyday talk and like how they talk, so they would be able to relate to it more. Because the majority said informal, we will decide to do our radio show as informal. We also asked like what they listen to the radio on, and they was like mobile devices, sometimes in the car, but some of them don't really listen to radio like every day, but they'll listen to music in general. This focus group helped us to decide what we would do for our radio show because it's what we understand what our target audience would want because they would be telling us the information what they would want in our radio show. Ideas. So our first idea, we was just going to play hip-hop music, but because we created the focus group and surveys, we found out that our target audience doesn't just want hip-hop music, they would want more genres of music in our radio show. So we decided to do R&B, grime, trap, so like different types of genres, and which will be good because for our wide range of target audience, we'll be connecting to everybody's likes in music, what they would like in music. Our structure of our radio show would be introduction first, so we'll say our broadcast name, then it'll be the main headlines of the raw story. It'll be copy only and copy with audio to prove that the story is relevant. We'll also have like a little jingle in the background just to like not make it boring, and we'll have the main music. We'll also have the weather and some news. That's another question we asked in the focus group, like how long they would want their news to be in the radio show, and they replied with 1 minute because they wouldn't want it to be too long because it will get boring, because they'd rather listen to the music or like talks, like interviews with artists in the radio show more than the news.
Right, so we managed to send off, we commissioned a survey that I created on SurveyMonkey, and the only reason why we were doing this is because we wanted to find out what we wanted to put in our radio show more, so we can make it more interactive for our target audience in a way. So we asked the first question, what is your genre, and we mostly found out it was mainly females. We had one male, or like a couple male people who answered, and the age group that we're going to be targeting at is 16 to 18 and plus older people who are going to listen to our radio show. So people said they listen to the radio occasionally. That's nearly about 66% of the people who said they watch it on occasionally. One person had said they listen to the radio nearly every day, and one person said they never listen to the radio at all. So it's kind of interesting to see what the target audience is, what people are basically doing on a daily basis. The type of tone. Now, this is really key for our radio show, mainly because our target audience is mainly going to be based around youth, but we're going to add in, like Tamira said, we're going to have like a weatherman who is going to have it in a formal way, so we're going to have a mix of both. And mostly people said they wanted it in the radio show to be in a formal way, but we're going to try and fuse the weather and also with the radio show have it in a more informal way. So makes it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more creative rather than just sticking to one side of the radio show. People said they accessed the radio via internet, and why is that? Is because now technology has really evolved since radio started, and people are now able to go onto the internet and they're able to go on phone apps to listen to the radio show rather than just listening to it in a car. So it makes it more easy for them and more accessible for them. What type of radio, the style of the radio show that they want to watch, they listen to, excuse me, is regional radio and mainly community. And that's really interesting to see, because at least we're getting the feedback of what they want us to put into our radio show rather than just going with our main ideas that we've come up with. So, like I said, it makes it more interactive for them. And here are some more questions. And the demographic is a more interesting one. Many people said middle class, and a couple of people didn't want to say their demographic whatsoever. But our demographic for our radio show is mainly going to be C2DE, which is aiming at 13 to 29-year-old people, and that's mainly going to be our general target audience for our radio show. In terms of how long our radio show is going to be, mainly people said 2 minutes, and some people said 30 minutes. So, in a way, we can agree that it could be between 2 to 3 minutes long, but we don't want to drag it on forever because it will get too boring and it will just switch off the audience from preventing to listening to the radio show, and we won't get as much listeners. And here are a couple of final few questions that I asked about. For the playlist, the type of playlist, the format they want to hear in our radio show is mainly hip hop, grime and R&B, and for the forms of radio that they want to hear that is commonly used in radio shows today, most of the people said they want to hear copied with audio, and a few people there and there said voices, raps and live cross.
In terms of costs, we found out a few resources that we needed to use. So one example would be a condenser microphone. So this would be a condenser microphone which will require phantom power. This is ideal for when recording in studios and stuff like that. This would be perfect for individuals or in small groups looking to record or edit their work, so that would be us. Also, when editing, we're going to use a software called Logic Pro. So the reason why we're doing this is to sort out, to enhance our radio broadcast and make it better. We found out that on a Mac is usually, it costs $149.99 to buy. In terms of our target audience, we found out that our radio broadcast should only be 2 minutes maximum, and our target is towards teenagers, which are around the age 13 to 29. We're going to aim this at teenagers because we feel it would reflect on the language and tone they use, which is informal and sort of like London slang. And for our script, we're going to have different presenters for each section, such as the introduction, the weather, sports, gossip news, etc. So what is a news report? A news report would include typically a bulletin, which is between 2 to 3 minutes long. The purpose, and we would have a headline. The purpose of a headline is to give a brief and quick outline of the main story that we're going to cover in our radio broadcast. We're also going to have news programs. News programs are a type of news that are generally broadcasted on TV or radio. So this means that they're regularly scheduled and they report current events and situations. The benefits to our radio broadcast is that we're going to have informal styles to appeal to our target audience, news bulletins, and a catchy jingle.
As we've been looking into different types of radio news broadcasts, we've been looking at news values, and we want to include them in our stories, such as negative, which shows like at the start it will have like a negative impact, so it can maybe be like an earthquake or a natural disaster, just to sort of show that that's a prominent thing that's happening in the world. And we're going to use the public interest agenda, which is a piece of news or audio which shows what's happening, because the public wants to find out what's been happening in the world. So it's something that's aimed at them. So it's sort of like, so just for like a little like community, maybe that can be as an example of public. We're going to use prominence, which is the up and coming news report. So when an incident happens, we plan to air it at the earliest time when we get the report. And immediacy is when we want to get the news the quickest, so just to beat the competitors. So the benefits of our radio will be that we're going to aim it at teenagers, so we'll use the slang. We're going to try and, for the section before the gossip, we're going to have a quote or a quick update on the popular music, like new songs or like if anyone's got awards lately. And then we're going to do hip hop, so it's going to be mostly like hip hop, but it's going to like range out to a lot of music genres, but hip hop will be the main one. And we'll be looking at competitors because we want to find out how their news broadcasts are structured. So for example, Radio 1 Newsbeat, it's about a 3 to 5 minute long news report, which includes sport, politics, gossip, weather, public agenda, and they normally talk about world news at the end, and then they have whenever a different presenter or a different section comes, they'll have a jingle in between, so it shows that there's a little there's like a little difference. And capital extra, because we like the way they present the news,